Hi, Silver Pines, and welcome to another author interview with Parker J. I know you are just as excited as I am about the newest release of the Silver Pines series, Wanted Lawyer, by the ever impressive, oh so fantastic, wonderful, beautiful Josephine Blake. Josephine, how are you doing today, girlfriend?
Well, if I ever need a confidence boost, honey, I'm coming to you.
I'm just telling you, I am just so excited, about Wanted Lawyer, and what's really interesting about this particular set of books, Wanted Man of Honor, was just released on June 5th, and then Wanted Lawyer releasing tomorrow, is that we wrote those kind of concurrently. We worked back and forth, talked about it, and then we came up with this wonderful set of these, I guess you would call companion stories, if you will. Yeah, you can read them separately,
side by side. I loved working with you on this too.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun.
Oh, it was. It was so much fun. It really was.
We really meshed really well when it comes to writing. Like it was just awesome.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. And what was really eerie for our Silver Pine readers, what was really eerie was that I had written Man of Honor first, and then Josephine said, "Hey, how's it going? How does this sound?" And literally, if you were to take her beginning of her book that you will see tomorrow and just put it next to mine, it's seamless, and it's just wonderful. Her talent is absolutely phenomenal, and you are going to love Wanted Lawyer. You're going to love it. She's a phenomenal author. But some people, Josephine, may not know about you. They may not know about who you are, stuff like that. They do know you did all our covers. They do know that you're a good author. But, go ahead. Peel back the veil of Josephine.
The veil of Josephine. Does anybody really want to see underneath that?
Yes, we do. The seventh veil. Reveal it.
So, what do you want me to talk about as far as my writing or my life? What
about your life? Just, what makes Josephine tick besides the woodpecker?
Well, let's see. I've been reading romance since I was a tiny kid. My mom used to have these, Harlequin, gosh, if I could pull up some of the names. She had all sorts of romance novels just sitting on her coffee table. And she would be like, "Don't touch my books." Right. And so she would have me like dust the house as one of my chores. Right. As soon as I dust the house, I'm dusting around that book. You think I'm really dusting or I'm reading the right. So I did a lot of thumbing through my mom's books and being like, "Oh, this is great. Oh, they're kissing. Oh, they're
right. Oh my gosh, what on earth are they doing?"
But it was just a great way for me to be introduced to the genre. I really respected my mom's opinion. So really whatever she was reading, I would often find something by that author, or, and try and read it. My mom would always staple pages together for me. of my books. She'd be like, "You can't read this section." Or anything after that.
Really?
But yeah, so the romance genre, I actually really fell into it on accident. I've always liked writing. My first set of stories was about a magic pencil in third grade, and I actually wrote so many of them that my teacher said, "Okay, these are funny and they're cute and they're great, but you need to write something else." And I was like, "No, my magic pencil stories." Third grade, I was really determined to take it was like a creative writing assignment, and you were supposed to take whatever subject you could, and I did. I took this subject and I turned it into a pencil story, and she was like, "You got to stop with the pencil story." I should go back and actually edit them and put them up and be like, "Here's my pencil stories." So that's the first actually series that I remember writing, was literally in third grade. I have written my whole life. And after I became a married woman, I jumped into nannying, which I still am a nanny. I absolutely adore my girls. Same girls for going on 6 years now, and I've got to have them since they were my youngest was 3 months old when I started, and now she's cute. It's terrible.
My God.
But I needed something else. I was home a lot, even with my girls. I was only working 2 or 3 days out of the week, and I was still needing something to fill in. So I picked up a couple ghostwriting gigs where I actually wrote stories for published authors with well-known names, and they took those stories and paid for them and then put their own names on them. And I was like, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Which I honestly think it's a great way for somebody to jump into the industry is, you know, you kind of get a feel for it before you try and publish yourself. And it was a really, really awesome experience for me. In fact, I'm still in contact with some of the authors I wrote for. We're close friends. And and we learn from each other, you know, I bounce ideas off of them. They're just great people. But I definitely wanted my own name on some stuff. So gosh, 2 years ago, 2016. Yeah, 2 years ago, kind of threw caution to the winds and jumped into it.
Hey,
like, here I go. I had this dream when I was a kid about an Indian fella and a high society lady falling in love together. And it was a dream I had when I was like 12. And they did it, so I wrote it. Like, it was kind of like a mind-blowing experience for me. I was like, okay, I had this dream and I wanted to write this story, and boom, here's my characters. You know, it was kind of a little bit of an homage to my you know, the cowboy and Indian westerns that I watched with my dad. And I watched a ton of them. John Wayne, like,
yeah.
He is held up real high in our house.
Right. There is no other cowboy but John Wayne.
right, exactly. Clint Eastwood, you know, we have him in there too. But a lot of John Wayne. He was definitely my dad's favorite. So I watched a lot of those. And so I found those kind of like rolling into my own preferences. So I did really like the high society gal. And if you are familiar with my writing at all, you do see that a lot in my writing. I like to see the high society gals decide to, you know, jump into an adventure. I don't know why. It's a lot of fun for me. It's fun to write. So you know, that being said, I've done a little bit of Victorian with that, you know, the London society. I do like that, the gossip, the scandal, you know, that's fun. I've only done a couple of those, but I also write a little darker when I write Victorian. So my Victorians are very gothic, very deep, darker undertones. You know, I don't know how else to explain it. Jack the Ripper, you know.
Yeah. So that's an interesting era of history, Victorian's era history, because a lot of strange things happen under the guise of keeping it clean, if you will.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, because Queen Victoria.
Oh, the scandal! We must cover this up somehow.
Yeah. I love it, you know, and I know our viewers rather, are listening in because some of them have already read some of your other books. And I know they're just so excited for Wanted Lawyer. And one of the things that some of the readers said was, what's going to happen to Mace? Because they read Wanted Man of Honor and they're like, well, what's going on with Mace? Surely this is how it ends. You know?
He's a fella.
And I was so glad. I wanted to tell them, look, Josephine has got to take care of Mace. Now, how she takes care of Mace, you'll find out, because I already know. But I'm just so excited about Wanted Lawyer, because what you've done is just take these two different people that, in all honesty, should never have met. You know, if you think about it, they should not have met. But circumstances that happened to Silver Pines is that, like a lot of things that happen in life, devastation came. You know, Silver Pines is devastated. The women lost their families. They lost their not their livelihood. They lost their husbands, and they lost the protector of their family, whether it's their father, their brother, their husband. They lost someone special to them. And what happens with devastation is that devastation is not the end. And that's one thing I think every book in this series has kind of showed us. That devastation is not the end. It is a huge detour. Yes, there is a massive.
Yeah, it's like, this was your happily ever after, but now it's changed. Like, yeah.
You know. And how do you pick up the pieces? And that's one thing that Victoria, who is the heroine of our story, she's picking up the pieces, but she's having a hard time carrying those pieces. So tell us a little bit about Victoria and what she's going through when we read Wanted Lawyer.
So Victoria lost her happily ever after with this, with the earthquakes and the mining collapse. Victoria literally saw her happily ever after just like ripped away from her when her husband passed away. And not only does her husband pass away in the mining collapse, it's he leaves behind a horrible legacy that she never knew existed. You know, okay, your husband's passed away and also he's a thief. How do you feel about that? You know, she was really torn up, and the earthquakes did a number on her as well. You know, she has fears of being outside of her house after she saw the world shake, and her husband was the only thing protecting her, and now he's gone. You know, so she, I think underneath it all, she kind of feels like that security of her husband was taken away, and so there's no security in the world at all. You know, so she's withdrawn. She goes back into herself. She hides in her house. She actually suffers from what would now be diagnosed as oh no, I had the diagnosis now.
Agoraphobia.
Thank you.
Yeah, agoraphobia.
Yes, she suffers from agoraphobia, and thankfully it's a very light case because she does you know she can conquer it in different ways. But oh man, it was hard to write an agoraphobic heroine. She was difficult, but I really enjoyed getting inside of her head and trying to feel like how she would feel in that sort of situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the nice thing about, you know, some of these women, that they're not just gonna, you know, most of the women, they think, oh, I'm going to be strong. And sometimes you can't be strong. Sometimes you do need someone to help you. And so here we have enter in our hero, Luther Garrison. And those who read Wanted Man of Honor, you know, when they read Man of Honor, like, well, one, like, who's Luther? Like, who's this guy? You know? And I was like, you're going to find out, I promise you, because we wrote these kind of like companions. They're still standalones, but we wrote them like companions to each other. So he definitely will introduce you to both Victoria and Luther without giving away too much, you know? And Luther, let's talk about him, because you find out some interesting things that were hinted at in Wanted Man of Honor that we find in Wanted Lawyer.
So Luther Garrison, I love that name, Luther Garrison. Doesn't that just make you want to be like purr a little bit? I
just want to start singing Luther Vandross. Actually, Luther Vandross came to mind, so I just want to start singing him. But that's me.
I honestly felt pretty bad for him, which maybe that shows in the writing a little bit too, because he like many other people has been deceived by Mace Thorne, who is actually his cousin. He is his family. And so Mace has supported him, you know, pretty much a full ride through college, which back then was a little different, to say the least. So he goes through school and is a lawyer, but then Mace turns around and says, oh yeah, by the way, you want to know how I was financing that? And everything goes down the hill from there. You know, Mace really uses and abuses him until Luther is becomes something that he's not proud to be anymore.
Yeah.
Then enter violence, and Luther's out of there. He's not interested in murder and mayhem. He doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. He's he actually had more depth than I ever imagined him having. My book, I actually had trouble stopping writing in some scenes because they needed to go on.
Yeah.
So my book is longer than I intended it to be. It's actually about 10,000 words longer than I wanted it to be. Because there were some scenes that I was just like, if I leave that out, you lose out on their personality.
Yeah.
Luther and Victoria, their interaction, the difference in their, you know, he is this outlaw. He's been running with a band of outlaws for years now.
Yeah.
I have to go back and check, but yeah, a couple of years he's been running with this band of outlaws, and you know, doing Mace's bidding. And sorry, they're fuzzy. And Victoria, you know, before this, she was a pretty classy lady. She's the mayor's wife.
Yeah.
You know? And enter Luther, this rugged, spitting, chewing, tobacco kind of spitting guy. You know, he's just a rough and tumble fella. And together, they sort of, she kind of refines him a little, and he also brings her a little bit more down to earth.
Yeah,
it's just they were a good mesh. I liked them.
I did too. Really fun them. I love them. I really think their story is one of the gem couples. I mean, and I loved every single book of Silver Pines. That's what's really cool about us writing Silver Pines. We're not just writing the books. We're also fans of the series as well. We're just as excited when each book comes out, just as much as our readers are. We're just as excited, you know. We're like, oh my gosh, you know. we're just excited because we're looking forward to this wonderful series of stories. And I know what I think is one of the magic of Silver Pines, what makes Silver Pines so great. What do you think, in your own opinion, is that magic of Silver Pines that so many readers are just responding to?
Well, I really think you're right, and it seems to be a lot of the author's enthusiasm with it. The way that we are all willing to jump in and work together and make this not so much not so much a series of books, but it's actually a town full of people that we all kind of grown to love. They're just I think working together like this brings in different personalities, and it makes the story, it makes the series come to life.
Yeah.
It gives it more life than the average author does. It's just something about us all working together, and we mesh well together. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that really helps out a lot. And that is being felt through the Silver Pines. And we want to definitely thank our readers for being so enthusiastic about the series. Those of you who are listening in, if you haven't joined the Silver Pines Facebook group, you definitely want to, because you really get a lot of interaction with us, because we really love connecting with the readers. When you say Josephine, everyone's like, oh my gosh, Josephine, those covers look great. I mean, you know who the cover design is. For those of you who didn't know, you don't now. Josephine has designed all the covers of our books, and it's funny because she has this very unique ability of taking your idea, which looks like, crud, and she turns it into this flower. Josephine is an extremely talented woman. In a few months we've been working together. She's been just a phenomenal resource for us, just as authors with our other projects as well. And so I really am excited for you with Wanted Lore. I'm very excited for you. And so I want our viewers to have an opportunity to follow you online and get in contact with you. So go ahead and share your social media outlets with us.
Facebook. I'm on Pinterest, but I mostly use it as an idea base. I love to look at covers. I spend a lot of time staring at gorgeous covers on Pinterest, but mostly if you want to connect with me, I'm available on Facebook. I do have a website. It's www.awordfromjosephineblake.com. And I've had it since the beginning. It gets regular updates, so that's a great way to connect with me. I monitor everything myself. So any comments you leave, anything on my social media, I'm pretty quick to answer. So if anybody needs me, I'm right around.
And Josephine, thank you so much for just sitting with us for a few moments and letting our Silver Pine readers just be so enamored with the new one. Let me tell you guys, Wanted Lawyer is very good. I got a chance to get a sneak peek of it, and I read it probably within, 2 hours, I think? I was flying. It was I was flying through the book because it's so good. And I have to tell you, that was just quote unquote the rough draft. And so just getting the polished thing tomorrow, you are going to be just as excited as I am. So make sure tomorrow, June 19th, in the year 2018, Wanted Lawyer is coming out, and I hope you get your copy. So from Josephine and myself, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time with another author from Silver Pines. See ya.
Bye.